Gentleman from California.
I yield 3 minutes to an advocate for human and religious rights, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Suozzi.
Gentleman's recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Ranking Member. Congressman Smith, thank you so much for your good work and your partnership on this issue. Thank you to Chairman McGovern, and thank you to Speaker Pelosi for her leadership on all issues human rights. Madam Speaker, I rise in strong support of the bipartisan Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act, which holds the Chinese Communist Party accountable for the horrific treatment of Uyghur Muslim minorities, including forced labor camps in Western China. Over 1 million Uyghurs in mass internments who are subjected to systemized brainwashing, Big Brother-like surveillance, and gross violations of their religious freedom. Since President Nixon went to China in 1971, most Americans have believed that with increased economic integration and exposure to our system of democracy and our way of life, that China would become more like us. Clearly, that has not happened. Not only does the Chinese Communist Party reject any real steps towards democracy, withhold information from the world community regarding the coronavirus, continue its unfair trade practices, and cheat by stealing our intellectual property, but it continually violates human rights, as we have seen not only in Xinjiang with the Uyghurs, but also in Tibet with the Buddhists, and in Hong Kong with the students and the journalists. Representative Chris Smith from New Jersey and I originally introduced legislation regarding abuse of the Uyghurs in November of 2018. And while it's taken too long, it's never too late to speak out for human rights and penalize China for its egregious violations. Madam Speaker, Uyghur families are prohibited from practicing their faith. They're often separated from their family members and prohibited from reading the Quran and making their daily prayers. And in some instances, they're forced to eat pork during Ramadan. The so-called re-education camps in China, where Uyghurs are forced to work in textile or manufacturing jobs in or near mass internment camps, are not only repugnant to our values, but also taint global supply chains. The brutal religious-based persecution of the Uyghurs in China is alarming, but not new. China has continued to repress anyone who does not conform to their system, including Tibetans, Christians, and the people of Hong Kong. Just last week in Hong Kong, the Chinese Communist Party proposed national security legislation that would erode Hong Kong's autonomy and civil liberties. We must remain vigilant. This bill holds the Chinese Communist Party and Politburo members like Shen Chuanguo accountable for their abuses. I urge my colleagues to support the passage of this important bipartisan legislation, and I yield back.